live thing went, and it's time for the intro video.
Yeah, well, you know, that's like just your opinion, man.
All right, hello and welcome to the Audio Opinion Show, where audio people gather to have opinions about things, and that's pretty much all there really is to the show. That's it. That's the whole shtick. I'm joined by a bunch of at this point all very good friends. Like, I know all these people pretty well. It's mostly all sound reinforcement folks, so we're just going to be, coming from one angle a lot, and occasionally Ike will say something brilliant about RF, and then we'll just bow and go, he's so smart, and then everything will be great. Yeah, I think that's pretty much my intro. That's it in a nutshell. Oh, if you're wondering how to get on this show, just jump on my YouTube channel and send me an email, and then I'll lose it because it'll go to my junk file, and then you'll have to ask a guy, and then they'll let you on, and then you'll be Ed Willock, and you'll be like, I never get your emails, and then I'll eventually put you on the list because I'm not terribly organized, is what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. So let me get myself slightly more organized here and move this window to there and do that. All right. So we're going to begin with the poll. And of course, as we all know, the first, and Jan, for what it's worth, I mean, the hand thing is cool, but it's not Alex's show, so we don't have to do the hand thing. Although if you interrupt too many times, then we'll get annoyed. But all right, so we're launching the poll, and the first one is, of course, the Princess Bride question. I'm assuming all y'all can see that. So the Princess Bride question: what was Fezzik's particular talent? Was it 1, rock throwing, 2, fighting groups, 3, rhyme, 4, moving people out of the way, 5, catching falling women, or 6, all of the above? Fezzik's particular talent. And if you don't know who that is, we need
I
to...
got drunk with him once in a bar in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Oh, my God.
He can drink a lot.
Oh, yes. Yes, legendary. Okay.
Isn't he Canadian?
So, all right. So I'm sharing the results, and most of you did indeed get this right, because as we know, when the masked man came around the corner and he missed him with the rock, he made it clear he did that on purpose, which means he's very good at rock throwing. I won't go through all the rest of these, but we all know Fezzik's pretty much good at everything, all of the above. And yes, also very good at drinking. I have read unbelievable stories about Andre the Giant and his ability to consume alcohol. I mean, it helps when you weigh 550 pounds, but anyway.
Gallons of wine. Gallons.
There's a good documentary on him too.
All right, so let's figure out what we're going to be talking about. So,
Gary L was his book, guys.
Oh,
you gotta listen to him narrate it. It's fantastic.
Man after my own heart. All right, me moving the show along like the adult in the room. So what's our topic going to be? YouTube can't see this, so I have to read it. Sorry about that. So our first topic, and pretty probably our only topic, I don't think we've ever gone to a second topic. It's what's the best audio job in the world, or end fire versus other subwoofer array types, or what's your favorite audio job to do, or Cedar DNS versus the Portico 5045 versus something else. Sound Devices has the new noise assist. There's all kinds of noise things coming out. 5, I guess it is. Wireless versus wired, the actual pros and cons, not just we hate RF, although we kind of do. And last but not least, point source speakers versus line arrays. And if we talk about wireless versus wired without Carl on here.
But we got Ike.
So Ike has now left the building. Like, oh, what did I say?
What am I, chopped liver?
And we got Jason.
Yeah, well, Jason, whatever.
Jason is not chopped liver. In fact, no liver laceration in Jason's direction at all.
All right, so it looks like we have the poll. I'm going to share the results. Everybody here will see it. It's a tie about basically audio jobs, and since they're so closely related, we can kind of talk about both, but I'm going to lean towards what's your favorite audio job to do? As opposed to what's the best audio job in the world, what's your favorite? So that's not necessarily like the one that makes the most money or whatever, but like what's just your favorite gig? I know we've got a lot of folks here that have done a lot of different, different parts, different ends of the snake, different parts of the deal. So that's what we'll talk about today. Does anybody, without me picking on them, just want to launch immediately into their favorite part of audio to do?
I'll go with the minority answer. I'm assuming minority answer. It was my favorite gig is monitors.
Well, I know that. I know your favorite gig is monitors. However, Jason's mixed a monitor gig or two in his life, so you're not completely in the minority. Although I don't particularly agree with that.
Are you guys masochists?
I just get angry at the band. I'm useless.
Oh, man. Well, and I also found that I just wasn't very good at it. It was just like my favorite monitor story. There's a bunch of stories in here, but went to a high school in the middle of the afternoon to do a what was supposed to be a jazz ensemble. That's all we were told. I showed up and the jazz ensemble turned out to be Herbie Hancock and his all-star band. They come walking into this high school auditorium to do a school show in the middle of the afternoon. Unbelievable. Billy D. Williams is emceeing. Like, it was like, you didn't mention that in the, but we had this weird monitor console and I inserted all the EQs and did all my thing. And I'm, tweaking out the monitors and doing all this stuff, do the whole entire show. It's not until I'm unpatching the console that I realized that all of my 31 band EQs were not actually inserted on the buses of the console. Like, literally nothing I was doing had any effect whatsoever. And I've got like
Which was probably perfect for a jazz gig because
Exactly.
the monitors weren't over.
And I'm sure you're the only one who's ever done that.
Phase coherence. You had phase coherence.
That's 100% true. Yeah, there was no phase anomalies because there was no EQ happening. But I don't even remember, but it was like one or two of the musicians, like, dude, can you cut a little 3K out? I'll give it a little bit of warmth. We were going back and forth, like this, and they're like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's cool. And the graphs all doing. Now, thankfully, they weren't running loud enough that if we'd started squeaking, I would have realized I had a problem. But I had a Q wedge. Like, I thought I was hearing it, but I wasn't, because they were just not inserted. It's like I'd inserted in the first 8 groups or something, and they needed to be inserted in the next 8, in the inserts or whatever. Like, they were not in the buses that I was using. So this is why I do front of house. Any other monitor fans? Speak, Ed. It's an audio show. Unmute. We must hear your dulcet tone. There we go.
Space bar didn't work there.
Space bar.
Yeah, no, I enjoy doing monitors. It's like the challenge of making a whole bunch of people happy that matter, because we can make a lot of people.
That was the key part. They're the people who actually matter, as opposed to the audience. Not
right, exactly.
Yeah, no, that was
being
exactly
part of the band. Being part of the band.
A lot of times, I end up getting hired. A couple of the companies I work for, the owner still loves to mix music, so he'll take front of house because he doesn't want to deal with the band. Right. So he's like, oh yeah, you're the guy that's going to be doing that. So I like doing monitors. I like doing front of house too, but monitors is fun. I think.
I do feel like after making a career, out of that end of the snake, towards the last third of that career, I do feel like in some ways I robbed myself of what it was that made me want to mix in the first place. I wanted to mix the dark side of the moon for the people, and as a monitor engineer, you don't have that opportunity. And if you can live without that, it's very rewarding because, like I said a minute ago, you're part of the band. You're part of the creative process, and that's rewarding in itself. But man, I would have liked mixing Dark Side of the Moon for the people every night.
Mighty rock
You
for
know?
the masses, I call that.
And music for the masses every night. I watched the
Mighty
Depeche
rock
Mode
for the
concert
masses.
tonight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I actually, when I did do wedges, and that shows my age, I was almost always doing wedges. The one thing I actually did enjoy was I always set aside a mix for me, and like once everything was dialed in, then because that was kind of fun. It's literally like, this is a mix for me, and nobody can tell me it's wrong. Nobody can complain about it. Nobody can dislike it. And the only thing that I hated was that I couldn't tweak all the EQs the way I wanted them to be. It's like if I had a more modern console like nowadays or something, I would, parallel channels or do something stupid like that just so I could do all my own little EQs and all my little everything. Because that's the thing. It's like, you do monitors and you're having to please the people on stage, front of house, and no matter what you do, somebody's coming up after you, coming up during the show or after the show, wanting something different or changing it, or the promoter or the tour manager, or there's just, you never really, I mean, I can't say never. I'm sure there are some folks for whom this isn't true, but for the most part, you're never really just pleasing yourself. You're there's a client that's somewhere involved in there that you are mixing for them. And it's, it's kind of a pain in the butt. I mean, to more directly answer the question of favorite job, I think my favorite audio job is comms guy, which is really geeky. But I really like being the comms guy. I really do. And I've done, Dave knows, oh, shut up, Dave. Dave knows more than anything. Like I've mixed my share of, I've been the front house guy for plenty of things. I'm capable of doing it. But man, I like being comms is like, there's always some tweaky problem you have to fix. There's always some weird little thing. And then it's very technical and very
You're a hero.
Yeah. And when it works great, you are the hero.
People are used to shit and they say, can you fix this? And you make it great. And you're a hero.
Yeah.
And once the show starts and everything's working, you sit down at your table, log on to Facebook and go to town.
Yeah. And also it's not subjective. It's not as subjective as people aren't going, yeah, I could hear myself when I talked, but it was kind of mid-rangey or something like that. You don't get that kind of everybody knows their own job and sound kind of thing. If people can hear themselves and they can hear the show call and everything, they're happy. And if you've got to do all the neat, clever stuff, like when I assign this key to that person and they touch this key and that happens, and then someone over there hears it and then it starts the kettle so the tea's ready for, all this stuff, that's really cool. I haven't done that much intercom. My personal favorite job is actually what I do mostly now, which is RF. Have I mixed monitors? Yes, I have. Have I mixed front of house? For a large part of my career prior to doing what I do now. And when it was great, it was great. It was that feeling that Jason was looking for, mixing Mighty Rock for the masses. But man, there were so many things that could make it not great. Everything from, the PA that just wasn't working properly and a system tech that didn't know how to do that. I did a Canada Day in Ottawa one time, and the system tech was struggling, and I thought it was a language thing. I thought it was a French-English thing. I was English, he was French, and it just was, what about this and what about that? And blah, blah, blah. Very late in the day, he said, I don't normally do this. I go, what do you normally do? Oh, I'm lighting. And it was like, okay, I had a lighting guy that literally did not know how to patch the PA, did not know how to answer any of my questions. It wasn't a language thing at all. It was an ability.
Buzz don't have an accent.
Yeah. Yeah. So it frustrated me no end that there were so many potential barriers. And I've mentioned it on this show before, but with RF, you could be doing 16 terrible track acts that have auto tune on everything, and it's awful music, and I don't care.
Yep.
If all of the waves went where they were supposed to, and the wireless was rock solid, and the in-ears were great, and the intercom was doing what it was supposed to do and everything, I've had a great show, and I can go home and go, man, that was fun. And the content means nothing, right? So that my favorite job right now is the RF coordinator, really.
Yeah. I think mine is what I'm actually doing now, which is this little corporate studio. It is a dream, going in and using nice gear and not working hard, getting paid a lot of money. Mixing is never what floated my boat. It's not why I started in the business. And I mixed for 40 years because I had to do that in order to be the system designer and implementer. And I designed systems and I set them up, and I loved doing load-ins, and I loved getting everything working. And when it came to doing the show, I had to sit there through all those rehearsals in the dark, playing play-ons for executives, because that was the price I paid to create the system. Then I just couldn't handle those rehearsals anymore. Just like couldn't face that anymore. And so I started doing comms and RF coordination, and that was cool. And I still like doing comms, although there's so many people better at RF coordination than me. I'd rather not just get into that. But the gig I have in the studio now, it's a dream. It's great. Except for getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, well, and this is the whole thing. I was talking with these guys before we started, but I'm setting up a little like broadcast thing in my house, and so it's like it'll be like what you're doing, Mac, only in my house. Now, there is one catch that would be different, and that is I don't know if it's going to be making a lot of money. It might be losing a lot of money.
Right.
So that's the big we'll see. But the rest of it's going to be awesome. Like I will enjoy all the rest. The going broke part, maybe not as much, but I'll enjoy all.
I'm learning new stuff every day. It's great.
Well,
I mean, can I make a case for mixing?
Sure.
I just feel really strongly that, you know what hooked me? I had a dear friend in high school who was a stereophile, a budding stereophile. He spent every penny he made. He worked all the time. He worked in a hi-fi shop, and he spent every penny he made on gear, Hafler preamps and Krell amplifiers and Omaha speakers and you name it. And, they'd loan him stuff. And he knew I was interested in audio, so we'd get together, and his parents let him have the whole furnished basement for his live end, dead end room, So, and I remember specific moment, the wall, when they're in the hotel room and she walks through the room into the bathroom, and she's talking the whole time. She comes out of the bathroom and he starts throwing things, and it was as if it was on a screen in front of you that you could watch. And I said, I want to do that.
Why didn't you get into film mixing?
Yeah.
Well,
studio work. That's studio stuff.
My where I came from, that wasn't an option.
Yeah.
I mean, my high school didn't even have a theater program, really. Yeah. I mean, they put on little shows, but they didn't have a PA. There was no stagecraft or anything like that. So
a lot of us didn't know what that was. Like I remember being like in 4th or 5th grade and hearing music and going, yeah, I want to do something with that, but who knew what a producer was back then, or an engineer even, I mean, it was, so a lot of times it was wanting to do that without knowing what that was.
Yeah, Chris got lucky because he basically grew up doing it because his dad was already doing it. Like, I am so jealous of that because, like, I feel like you got like a 15-year head start on like everybody else because, like, you know, you were tagging along with your dad already doing the thing. And it, you know, it doesn't make any difference if he was, you know, mixing for, you know, Paul McCartney or mixing for the cover band. It was still like you were doing the thing, like you saw what it was. And, you know, most of us, you know, thought it was one thing, got into it, found out it was something quite a bit different, but then we're dumb enough to stay. But you know, your experience was unique.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, as a kid, we were putting gear in the back of a station wagon every weekend. I mean, every weekend I spent in coffee houses and VFW halls, stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, it was definitely, but although since my dad was doing sound, often it taught me all the other disciplines because I ended up pushing lights or doing other things. So it helped round me out a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Soundmen are always the smartest people on the show anyway.
Well, that goes without saying. Like that's obvious.
It's true. It's not. It's,
Yeah. I will say that I know a lot of video people now, and without exception, some of the smartest video people I know, they all say, I have no idea how you do audio. That is just magic voodoo space sauce. Like, I don't know what it is you're doing or how it is you're doing it, because it's just baffling to me. And then, you know, I learned a little bit about video and went, yeah, I can see why it's baffling to you, because you just send things from one thing to another. Like, this is the easiest gig ever. Like, there's nothing to that.
Brian, they're out there, though. I know I've had the good fortune of touring with several video crew and video directors who are huge film fans. And normally the connection between us was Full Metal Jacket. Come on. The director.
Stanley
Kubrick. And they adore audio.
Oh, yeah.
And you once in a while you luck out and connect with a video guy who that's where they came from. They love film. They love the experience. And you actually have a pretty good handle on it. They are rare, though.
yeah,
They are rare. I'll give you that.
I've had some good relationships with video directors too on tours, and you know, and also from having done broadcast variety music stuff. I mean, when you see people sitting in that director's chair and the assistant director's chair, some of them can shoot music and some of them can't.
Yeah.
And if they can't, it's really not good. And when they can, it can be really, really wonderful. And it just makes such a difference that the person sitting in that chair knows enough about music, for example, to be able to, you know, do the cuts on the beat, you know,
Right.
and so.
or ADs that do that.
ADs
Or
are
capture
amazing.
A music AD.
Yeah.
Or capture a track shot that's the right pace.
Yeah.
Or a jib sweep that's the right pace. It can make the music greater.
Yeah, and just to tie this into something that Chris said and something we're talking, so we're sort of talking about other disciplines now. And one thing that I tell young sound people coming up all the time is to just learn everything about every discipline that you can, because it all applies somewhere, somehow. If you can't learn something from video that you can apply in audio, then you're not paying attention. If you can't learn something in lighting that you can apply in audio, you're not paying attention, or your mind is not open enough to.
And make friends, because you're going to have to work with them, and you're going to want to understand what they're doing so you can provide what you do to them in a way that works for them. And you're not going to want to fight with each other. And with lighting, I used to work with sound designers who didn't get along with the lighting department, and it was always a fight about where you put the speakers.
Right.
And I got along great with the lighting
Antennas.
department, and I would go over to the lighting designer and I'd say, you've got this moving light here and there's no room for my speaker to fit in there. Can we tweak things? And they go, yeah, sure. Move that one a little there and that one a little there, and you go right in the middle. But if the designer had gone over and said the same thing, they would have got told you couldn't move those lights.
Right. Yeah, because they haven't, you know,
just always made it a confrontation.
Yeah.
Well, and this is where stage managers and production managers are born. the guys who pay attention. You start off as an audio guy, or you start off as a grip, or you start off as a lighting guy. If you're paying attention, you're learning about these guys, you become friends with them, you understand their work. Then you're building that foundation to be the guy who runs the whole thing.
Or the gal.
Right, right. Oh yeah, and thank you, absolutely. Andrew Lipnick, I know that you've done a lot of different things. What's your favorite gig?
Well, this is like a 3-part answer here.
That's fine, as long as you annotate them.
I'll try and keep this short. I mean, look, the thing I love to do is if there's a good band and then mix front of house, but it's rare that comes up because often if I'm doing corporate work, for example, and like, I think I've brought this up before, but the 2 words that put the most fear in me is employee band. So anyway, that's another part.
Actually, I can go one worse, Andrew, and that is when there's a skit that's been put together by some of the employees to illustrate some reason that their product is better than anyone else's.
Good point.
The ones of those that I've done have been horrible.
No, that's a really good point.
Start to finish.
Yeah. So that's part 1. Part 2 is part 2 is what I really like to do. And this may sound odd. Most of the time I'm an A1. I'm like 75% of the time I'm an A1, 25 to 35% of the time, whatever it is, I'm an A2. I love being an A2.
Yeah.
Hot seat. And not only that, what I really love about it is, and I had to figure this out kind of not the hard way, but I had to come around to this, which was a number of years ago. I had one of those sort of crisis of faith of like, am I really enjoying what I'm doing for a living? And I really examined it. What got me into audio, I cut my teeth in theater, very collaborative sport. You have to get along with other people and be part of a team. And I loved that. And I came back to that because what originally got me into audio was also, all the knobs and faders and the cool stuff like that. That wore off after a few years. Don't get me wrong, I still like nice gear, but we're in a service industry, and I never forget that. So being in the A2, the nice thing about really liking the service and being of service aspect of it is that I'm of service to the A1. I'm of service to the rest of the production team, whether they be whatever discipline they're in, lighting, video, you name it. They're our client and our client's client, all of them. So being the A2, it's a great position to be in for me because I get to solve problems. I love solving problems and just taking like the easy way to do it. And
you're the closest contact to the client.
Yeah, like what? And when I say
you're the one with your hands in their pants.
Yeah, good point.
Literally.
Yeah, what I mean by the easy way, I don't mean like taking the easy way out. I mean like someone may be making a very difficult problem that has an easy solution. That's what I really mean by that. Right. So I love being A2. I like being that. I like the position it puts you in around that. Third part of this question is really quick. If I had to do it all over again and work and money and all that were no option, I would love to be a Foley artist. That looks like so much fun.
You know what? Hear a dog, see a dog.
In fact, my dog is barking even as we speak.
Yeah, there you go. Right when you said Foley artist, that was brilliant.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. Charlie's my dog. He just went on cue. I should get him in this shot. Here, come here, Charlie. No, he doesn't want to be picked up. Anyway, the point is, yeah, Foley artist. It just looks like so much fun to like bang on stuff and like make cardboard sound like someone being shot in the chest or whatever it is, It just looks like fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that would be kind of cool. Jan, I don't think we've heard from you, and I know that you have more of a peripheral world, but let me know, what's your take on, like, if you could do any audio gig, which gig would you do?
Well, don't let this go to your head, guys. But I have the ability, because I sell sound, light, staging, and video, but I prefer soundmen over any of the things. And I've been a production manager. One thing I know about sound guys, and all my best friends are audio engineers, they are the most grounded and down-to-earth people of anywhere in the industry. They have one love, and they do that just to give great sound to people. And they don't mind pulling cable. They don't mind getting in there early. They're just really nice people. my first gig and one of my favorite gigs, other than what I'm doing right now. I love what I'm doing right now because it uses every one of my skill sets that I have as a human being. But my biggest love was when I was mixing audio for a band called the King Bees, and I was using a Yamaha MQ802, one of those little 8-channel mixers.
Right.
And we would do it in the clubs, but there wasn't a night that I didn't get laid, and I love that part of the job.
Well, there is that. Well, I hate to do this to us, but I'm going to cut us a little bit short today. But it's been a great conversation. I think ultimately it's like, what's the favorite gig we like to do? And it's, the one that we get to do, the one that we get to get paid to do. So that's always a good thing. So I want to thank everybody for being here with us today. And I think we'll just play ourselves out with our closing montage.
Yeah, well, that's like just your opinion, man.